Good morning, members. We've already formed a quorum. It is also time to start the meeting. So let's call the meeting to order ASAP so the officials and also our guest speakers don't have to be kept waiting for too long. Now, first of all, let's elect the chairman of the subcommittee. This is a subcommittee on Public Health and Municipal Services Ordinance, Public Pleasure Grounds Amendment of 4th Schedule Number 2, Order 2012. We need to elect a chairman. Nominations, please. Mr. Wu Chi-Wai, Ms. Sit Ho, Mr. Chong Shu-Ken, seconds, right? You have nominated me, so there is a role conflict. So, Mr. Wu, please come forward to chair the election. I think that's what the procedures would call for, but I do accept your nomination. Are there other nominations, please? No, then in this case, I declare that Mr. Ho has been elected as the chairman of the Subcommittee on Public Health and Municipal Services Ordinance, Public Pleasure Grounds Amendment of 4th Schedule Number 2, Order 2012. Congratulations, Ms. Sit Ho. Thank you. It is important to adhere to the procedures. So I still have to ask you whether we need a deputy chairman. No, I don't think so. There are only 6 members. So let's be quick. Please invite the officials to join us. I would also like to say that at 10 o'clock, there will be a meeting of the AJLS, that is the Administration of Justice and Legal Services. I think it will run between 10 and 10:30. 3 out of the 6 members here will go to that meeting. So I hope that we can finish by 10 o'clock so that members can be released to go to that other meeting. We have already issued papers to members, and they are CB bracket 269 stroke 12 to 13 bracket 02, as well as the text of the number 2 order, and you can find it attached to our LS report, which is LS 88, and the actual brief. We have also got the order itself in the legal notice, and also our secretariat have kindly prepared a background note for us. So, first of all, I'd like to thank the team from the administration as well as our guest speakers. They are Ms. Margaret Lee, AD of the LCSD, Mr. Richard Wong, Chief Leisure Manager, Mr. Michael Lynch, CEO of the WKCDA, Ms. Elizabeth Tai from the Home Affairs Bureau, Dr. Chairman Wai, Executive Director, Project Delivery, Ms. Bonnie Wong, Director, CEO's Office from the WKCDA. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to give the floor to the administration to brief us on the order. Good morning, and thank you, Lady Chair and members. I'll be brief. Well, for the WKCD, we are now in the final stage of the planning. So we'd like to make good use of the temporary land of the West Kowloon waterfront. We'd like to carry out activities so as to groom the talents and build the audience. In relation to the waterfront land on West Kowloon, the WKCDA has already signed an agreement with the Lands Department in relation to the advanced works, and also the authority has also come up with a series of plans with collaborators concerning the activities. You can see the details in the paper, that is what activities they have planned to offer. Well, among the various programs listed here, they have to make use of the waterfront promenade, and therefore the WKCDA has talked to various government departments in relation to the takeover of the promenade, so as to make sure that there will be good coordination. And the Yau Ching Mong District Council has been consulted, and the council is in support of the proposal. The WKCDA would like to start various construction activities, and prior to that, they would like to do something in the beginning of next year, so that we can provide a user-friendly environment to the visitors. And for an interim measure, the WKCDA would like to have a set of temporary rules to manage the promenade, and then they will also start planning for the park, and they will also come up with rules for the long-term management of the waterfront area. Well, I don't think Ms. Tai can really answer the questions we've got in mind. But first of all, let me open the floor to members. Mr. Sin Chung Kai, Mr. Chung Shu Ken, and then Mr. James Toh. Well, members, if you need to declare any interest, please do so. Madam Chair, I'm not going to ask any questions now, but I need to declare interest because I'm on the board of the WKCDA. Who else is on the board? No? Then Mr. Chung, you can start asking questions. Madam Chair, there are only 3 pages in this paper, so it is a very brief one. So I just wonder if we can have more information after the meeting. I want to know about the boundary of the site. And when they talk about the temporary regulations or rules, what are they, and will they be different from the current ones that we used to have in Hong Kong? And please also give us a copy of the minutes of the Yau Ching Mong District Council meeting for reference. Allow me to follow this up. When I read the paper, I was surprised to find that we haven't even got a map. We want to know about the size and the exact location of the site involved. So I hope the Policy Bureau can give us a map to tell us exactly where the location is. And also, please tell us about its relationship between this site and the layout plan of the WKCD, so that we know where it will be against the WKCD as a whole. And please also note the information requested by Mr. Chung, a map and also the District Council minutes. Mr. James Toh. Thank you, Madam Chair. I think the panel, as well as the Joint Committee, had a discussion about the use of the site. I think the community's concern is as follows. Now, as a pleasure ground, as a public pleasure ground, it used to be subject to certain management, certain regulations. When it comes under the WKCDA, it means that it will be subject to another set of rules, which is yet unknown to us. So I don't know what will happen in the interim. But if at the end of the day, the rules of the WKCDA are not acceptable to me as a legislator, then I won't allow the order to be passed to take this out from the schedule. So let me repeat this again. Currently, as a public pleasure ground, it is subject to a specific set of rules, what you can do, what you can't do there. Now, the order itself is a legal document. Now, when the site is handed over to another organization, another authority, and then as a legislator, taking into account the public view, if I find that when the site has been handed over and it will be subject to inappropriate management or rules, then there will be a conflict. Now, you may very well state that it is a statutory organization, it's got a board of directors, they think it is right, but we as legislators don't think that it is right, and so we don't allow the order to pass. The order will delete the name from the list. So which one should be regarded as the right one? I think I did consider the matter briefly when the order itself was made in the first place, but unfortunately I found it very difficult to resolve the problem. At that time we didn't even have the board of the authority. I couldn't have asked the administration to come up with a set of rules on behalf of the authority. At that time the authority hasn't been established. Now you ask me, and I can tell you that for the public pleasure grounds, there are a set of regulations, though I may not like all the rules therein. But now you're asking me to remove it from the list. You just say that I have to trust the board of the authority and they will come up with another set of rules, which is unknown to me now. But don't forget that it is a huge site. So it's a matter of principles, and I find it difficult to endorse the order. Allow me to cite an example. Now, the bylaws of the Ocean Park, we haven't had them for decades. And then the Ocean Park would like to update the bylaws. So they presented a set of new bylaws to the LegCo. I compared the new ones and the old ones. Well, if I find that, should I find the new ones not proper, they could make amendments. Say, for example, assuming that they couldn't amend it to my liking. So we have three choices. Either we don't pass it, then we use the existing ones. And I have to consider whether the existing ones are good or the new ones are better. If the order is passed, then we have the new ones. In that case, I still can compare the existing ones and the new ones, and then I try to see if we can have an amendment. But unfortunately, in this case, we do not know how the future rules would be like, so we're caught in a dilemma.
So, is it that when the authority has come up with the new rules and regulations, then I can compare the authority's regulations with the present regulations? That's the difficulty I have, Chairman. Now, I normally do not impose a time limit or on the speaking time of each member, say 5 minutes per member. I understand that members do need to ask follow-up questions, but I still want the clerk to start the timer so that members know for how long they have spoken. But I will try not to impose a limit on the speaking time of members, but members should know for how long they have spoken. Now, may I refer to para 9 of the paper. It is said that there will be a set of temporary rules which are to be executed and enforced by the WKCDA, but we do not have the temporary rules. So I think at the moment we do have some statutory rules, but then what will we have in future? We don't know. And then may I refer to para 5 of the background brief. It says, Section 37, bracket 2, bracket C of the WKCDA Ordinance provides that all bylaws made by the authority are subject to the approval of LegCo. But the problem is that we do not have that set of temporary bylaws or rules. Now, I think I will say a few words and then Mr. Lynch can supplement. Yes, I do understand Mr. James Toll's concern. I want to say the framework to be adopted by the authority will be very similar to the framework now adopted by the LCSD. But of course, if people play music, if there are musical instruments, now that will be allowed. In fact, the authority will. You mean the authority will allow that? Yes, they want to encourage people to play music there. Now, concerning the planning of the park, the planning. Now, I want to say that they've got the plans, and as the chairman has pointed out, under Section 37, the bylaws made by the authority will have to be approved by LegCo. But then in the interim, there will be a set of temporary rules based on the existing LCSD framework, but the temporary rules will be more relaxed. But wait, can you show us the temporary rules? Where are they? Because you have to show us the temporary rules, right? Now, today we have this subcommittee set up. We have 6 to 7 members here. In fact, I had thought that we would be presented with the set of temporary rules today. So, Mr. Lynch, please.
Thanks, Chairman. Thanks, members of the committee. Nice to see you in a different room and different guys. I'm very happy to provide the temporary set of rules, and we've got copies of them here. So, we're happy to do that. I just think it needs to be recognised that we are just taking over the site, and we have discussed previously in the West Kowloon subcommittee many of these issues about why we wanted to take over the site temporarily. We can provide you with maps because we're talking, I think, only of about 14 hectares of the whole of the 40 hectares will become under our control rather than split between various organs of government and LCSD. And so we can easily provide that to you. I think the only point that to me is really important to address the members' concerns is that we have said very publicly, and I have said very publicly through community engagement, through the meetings with the district councils, and in many public discussions, that the spirit that we want to take over the site is that it will be managed as a place for everyone. We want that to be the long-term aspiration for West Kowloon, but in the interim it is really important that we start to build some enthusiasm for the things that happen on the site. We build some sense of expectation as to what's happening on the site, but we need to do that recognising that from later this year or from the beginning of 2013, part of the park is going to be an active building site, and it will remain so for the next 5 years. So public safety is clearly important, but we will, in the events that we have organised various different events that are meant to encourage the people to come to the site, to be able to use the site in the existing way that they use the site, but also to create new expectations of the site. So whatever what we've said in the temporary rules, which are a transition from part management by LCSD, is that we will be actively looking at what works in terms of the interim and what works in terms of the longer term. I can assure you that the issue of people being able to sing, lie on the grass, ride their bikes, those sorts of activities which have been very much part of the public conversations and the conversations we've had with the LegCo subcommittee before, will be able to happen, and we will make sure that in our management of the site we're encouraging people to come to the events or to use the site on an individual basis. So I guess as a starting point, that's the spirit in which we will be managing the site. We have no intention of restricting use other than around the fact that we want to start to build the idea that events take place on that site and that those events are done in a safe and effective way that look after the interests of both the audiences, the participating companies, and the broader community.
係嗱，啱啱咧就香
So we've just got a set of simple regulations or rules. Mr. Wu Chi-wai and then Mr. James To. Now, Chairman, now we've just received the regulations. So it seems that they are quite similar to the regulations imposed by the LCSD. Now I want to say something about the Lam Nin Lotus Pond. Now it's an LCSD venue, but then the management has been handed over entirely to the Sau-lan nunnery. So I think there is an advantage in this model. So in this case, all right, if the same model is adopted, now the management is assigned to the authority, and then the authority can try out various ideas and concepts. So that will help us understand the mode of management of the authority. In fact, it's just like a testing model. I just want to remind members that you should refrain from speaking in cocktail language. Sorry, Chairman. So now, because Chairman will need to study the bylaws in relation to the promenade and the entire park. So my suggestion is that you should adopt the Lam Nin Lotus Pond model, and that is still an LCSD venue, but then the management is so-called contracted out, and then the authority can basically adopt the LCSD mode, but then you can try out various concepts or ideas. So, say, for example, the authority may choose to err on the more relaxed side. So, try out various concepts or ideas. So, I hope that you can adopt the model for the Lotus Pond, which is managed by the Sau-lan nunnery. Thank you. Yes, Ms. Ms. Chen, can you respond to Mr. Wu Chi-wai's suggestion? Yes, Chairman, I agree with Mr. Wu. In fact, we are proposing a similar approach, and that is the framework proposed is still basically the LCSD framework. Now, I want to say that this is only a temporary arrangement because in the long run there will be a park. So in the interim, the LCSD framework will basically be adopted. But then before we come up with the bylaws, we can have this trial period in the interim to see what can be included in the bylaws. I think I have been somewhat misunderstood. What I mean is that this promenade should still remain an LCSD venue, but then the management should be given to the authority. That's my suggestion. I think I need to ask two more questions here. Concerning this temporary use, from this temporary use to the completion of the entire West Kowloon Cultural District, how long are we talking about? How many years? Now, because many people hope that there can be activities in the West Kowloon Cultural District as soon as possible, but many people have a lot of negative comments about the LCSD rules. For example, you cannot lie on the grass, and even if you want to have a candlelight vigil, you have to apply because candles cannot be lit, and so on and so forth. So people have a lot of negative comments about the LCSD rules. I want to say that Hong Kong people as well as LegCo members hope that the authority can implement rules more relaxed than those implemented by the LCSD. Now, Mr. James told of course, is looking at the matter from another angle. All right, so it's now Mr. Alan Leong's turn. Chairman, I want to ask one question. So, according to the paper, the Director of Leisure Services on the 6th of July published a notice in the Gazette whereby the venue ceased to be a public pleasure ground, and then on the 11th of July, the order was presented to LegCo for negative vetting. So the director has already taken action. Can the LCSD still manage the site now? Now, because this is for negative vetting, and so in other words, the Gazette notice has already come into effect. So my second question is, since the 6th of July, who has been managing the promenade? The authority. Have you brought along your legal advisor? I think you should really ask the legal advisor to come along next time. Now, at the moment, the authority is managing the promenade. It's a short-term tenancy or arrangement. So what is the basis for the authorities managing the promenade for the past few months? Mr. Lynch, is there a legal basis or any basis for the management of the site in the past few months?
Been preparing for the two major events that take place on the site and have taken place on the site over the last year, that we didn't want the Hong Kong Wine and Dine Festival and the Clockenflap Festival to be working to two landlords, and so we had proposed the idea of we would take control of both the promenade site and the balance of the site, which has been vested with us, to be able to make sure that those events which take place beginning next week and follow through over the course of the next couple of months, that they would be done with one point of management contact, that being us, rather than LCSD and WKC.
我明白，主席可能有啲嘢係喺翻譯之中遺失咗。
I think some of the points may have been lost in the translation. But I want to say in the past few months, since the 6th of July, what is the legal basis for managing the site? What provisions? What legal provisions?
To a question to Mr. Lynch.
I don't think I can answer that question without
that's fair.
Further advice.
That is fair.
或者主席，如果你或者容許我哋係啦。
Madam Chair, allow me to give an answer here. Well, on the 3rd of July, at that time already has a STT on the 3rd of July. And then for the waterfront promenade, it was an extension. So under the STT, well, in fact, what we are doing now is like treating it as a private land so that the WKCDA can manage it. So the basis is that they have been empowered to run as a tenant under the STT. Madam Chair, I think we are talking about two different things. We have got someone in the second row. They are anxious to tell us what they think. They are from the WKCDA as well. Mr. Chen, yes, allow me to clarify, Madam Chair. According to the STT, our management will run from the 3rd of October. 3rd of October this year? Yes, 3rd of October this year. What about the vacuum between the 6th of July and the 3rd of October? Ms. Lee. Well, on the 6th of July, it was gazetted, so it ceased to be a public pleasure ground. From that date onwards, we didn't have a legal basis. Well, how should I put it? We couldn't enforce the public pleasure ground regulations anymore, but the land still belongs to us, it's still under our management. So we have been following the existing model. Of course, we can't enforce it, but in the past, the WKCD waterfront promenade, for the users there, they have always been very cooperative. We didn't encounter any major problems. We didn't have to resort to any law enforcement activities. So since the 6th of July, we return it to the government, and then we hand over to the WKCDA. But for those few months, the LCSD has been in management about the daily opening of the site to the public, taking care of the landscape and maintaining the hardware. So just like usual, we have been keeping an eye on it. So it has been very smooth in the past few months. Madam Chair, I do understand that my 5 minutes have passed. I want to be brief. I don't want to take up too much time. But I don't think the arrangement is ideal because we have encountered a vacuum. Yes, of course, Ms. Lee has said that there was no need to enforce the law. But what happens if there is a need to enforce the law? And that takes me to another question. What's all the urgency? Madam Chair, among members who are present here, I think we know it very well. In the past few years, we have had a lot of opinions in relation to the LCSD's management of pleasure grounds. You can't sing, you can't have acrobatic activities. If you lie on the grass, you will not be allowed to do so. Now, for the WKCD, it is supposed to be a project for the people. So we really hope that it will be built for the people of Hong Kong. Therefore, we very much hope that there will be a set of rules which will be responsive to the wishes of the public and can address the concerns we voiced in relation to management of venues. So I can't understand why there is this urgency. That is, since the 6th of July, I can say that there weren't any statutory powers for anybody to enforce the law. And what is even more odd is, as members have pointed out, when compared with the pleasure ground rules of the LCSD, I think the temporary rules are more or less the same. Maybe Mr. Lynch can also explain. Now, for the WKCDA, for it to come up with the venue management rules, I don't think it is that difficult. I don't know why it hasn't been published for so long. So this is the question. Mr. Lynch.
Well, I don't have, what we're doing is a transition from what has been a split management of the site to a consolidated management of the site, which allows us to be able to run the program of temporary activities over the course of the coming years, keep the public access to the site over the next few years, but recognise the fact that we have gone through the Town Planning Board process with the development plan. We are now we are in the process of finalising the choice of designers for the park. We are about to establish the tree nursery on the park, and over the course of the coming months we'll be moving towards the actual physical work of moving park development forward. And so what we have done, and I'm very happy to accept individual or collective comments on the rules, we have put down a simple set of rules to guide the transition from LCSD management to WKCD management. We recognise within the program of activities that we've got that some of the controls that may have previously been in place on the site. You can't run outdoor music festivals where you have a rule that says people can't sing or that you can't sit on the grass. So, clearly what we're doing is, as simply as possible, laying down a set of simple rules to enable the transition, and we will then, over the course of this, now that we have responsibility for it, we will adapt these rules to make sure that they are clear to the community, they are clear to the users of the site, and hopefully reflect the spirit on which I started talking about. We want the site to be as accessible as it possibly can. We want it to be used by people of all parts of Hong Kong in terms of what they want to do, and we want it to reflect the future aspirations that we have for the park and the whole of the West Kowloon site. So I'm happy to accept comment on any of the specific rules that are in place, and bearing in mind one of the rules says that we may modify the rules from time to time. If there are specific concerns, then I'm very happy to take those back and look at sort of being able to be more explicit. But it's a transition from something that has been going on for some 6 or 7 years to a new set of circumstances which reflect the fact that we are about to start the practical work of turning what is a flat site into what we hope will be the best public realm space with the best degree of accessibility, sustainability and connectivity to the rest of Hong Kong. And I guess that's the spirit in which we submit the rules. I certainly don't want the rules to be seen as something that works against the interest of the general public using the site or attending the events that we'll be adopting or managing over the course of the coming years.
Yes, I'll queue up again. For the first round of questions, Mr. Sin Chung Kai also put down his name. Just now he only declared interest. He hasn't asked his question. Well, as a legislative councillor, I share the sentiments of Mr. James Toh. That is, it is better if we have got the two sets of regulations being juxtaposed together for the sake of comparison. And then I hope you can give us some direct comparisons. Now, if the LCSD is to manage the site, what sort of manpower is needed? What sort of resources will be required? And what about law enforcement? Who will enforce the law and in what way? And when the WKCDA takes it over, will it be the same? Currently, you don't have a lot of activities, so it may be different. Or it is because the public don't quite know your place very well. They don't know the WKCDA has taken it over. What if they rush there to hold all sorts of music concerts? Are you going to send them away, evict them? Wu Chi-wai and Alan Leung are afraid that you don't allow much to take place. But on my part, I'm worried that the authority may not have too much manpower to enforce the rules. And if people start to do a lot of things against your temporary rules, will they have people to enforce it? And when can you arrange for people to enforce it? Mr. Lynch.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, there's no one been rushing to the site's almost deserted most of the time unless there are specific events there. Clearly the Wine and Dine Festival is the most public event, but there is relatively limited engagement. We have had, in my 16 months in the job, we have had no one trying to occupy or take over the site in any way to conduct illegal events. We have a management agreement in place to look after the site, to secure the site and to ensure that particularly the interfaces between the building activities that are taking place on the site and the tunnel activities and a range of other things that we need to make sure that and the fact that it's on the water, that we need to ensure public safety. But I have very few concerns. I watch the site for at least 10 or 12 hours a day from my office. So if suddenly 100,000 people descended on the West Kowloon site, I would be the first one to understand that. And I'm sure I would be able to either use the police or whatever other resources we required to be able to manage that situation. Our intention is to be able to bring people to the site, not just those that want to use it as a running site or a cycling site. We actually want to encourage the communities of Hong Kong to be using it in more active ways. So the M Plus event, which we have scheduled for 4 months in 2013, is a public, free, open event where we have large public artworks that are inflated on the site, which we would hope would bring many thousands of people to be able to visit the site, to look at the artworks and enjoy it. Similarly, the music festivals, the Free Space Festival, which we're running, which is a free, open festival for young people, which happens in December. We will be bringing people there in substantially large numbers to listen to bands from Hong Kong and the region, to be able to give some taste of what the park and the free space venue on the site are going to be. If there is, as I said earlier, if you are concerned about specific issues within the interim regulations that we've proposed, then I'm very happy to look at it. But there are certain things that I think are just part of good management and risk management of what is a site that at the moment has a railway being built under half of it, has many other activities taking place on it of which we do not have specific control, that it's just sensible to do, say, like the opening hours, opening from 6 until 11 o'clock at night seems to me to be a reasonable way of going forward until we're in a position to determine whether the park is able to be operated for any different period of time. Clearly, I stand by my, we're in the process of putting in a better bike system on the site. That will be one of the things we'll be doing. And clearly we have very specific controls in terms of people not building structures or putting things on the site or camping on the site. At the moment it is, as it has always been, a controlled site. What we are doing is a transition from one version of control to a West Kowloon version of control of the site that looks after the interests of the people of Hong Kong, hopefully establishes the whole idea of it being used as an arts and cultural precinct, but also does it in a way that ensures public safety and adequate management of the resources and some of the dangers on the site.
So has he answered your question about manpower needed? I don't think so.
I could just say, we have put in place the management arrangements. Outside, we're not managing it with clearly management of the overall site sits within my responsibilities, but we have outsourced the security, the toilets, all of those practical aspects are being outsourced as part of our responsibilities under the short-term tenancy arrangement. And that will go on as appropriate. We are undertaking the actual activities in cooperation with a range of event managers and arts producers to undertake the actual physical side of it. But if we need more resources to make sure that we're dealing with either one-off circumstances or the longer term requirements, then we are in a position to direct those resources as appropriate.
其實有兩個層面，一個就係
Two levels here. First of all, landscaping, rubbish cleaning, toilet cleaning. That's one aspect. Another aspect is that if somebody breaks the law, who is going to enforce the law? LCSD or the WKCDA? Or will your management ask the LCSD to do it, or are you going to call the police, or will it be done by the security personnel, of the security company?
Chair, LCSD won't have any responsibilities on the site. We will have security in place. We will have the arrangements with fire, ambulance and the police if there were any activities that caused us concern, and we would deal with it in the appropriate way. Part of the reason for taking over the site is to build the robustness of our organisation which ultimately over the course of the coming years takes over the whole 40 hectares of the site. So this is partly a development in the capacity of the West Kowloon Authority to be able to manage not only the building projects, the artistic projects, but the facilities management of the site with the appropriate support and appropriate security arrangements. All of the events that we have planned, whether they be the Bamboo Theatre Project, the music festivals, all have dedicated security arrangements, dedicated ambulance and safety arrangements, and dedicated fire arrangements. And that's just part of the way that we would continue to exercise our responsibilities as the leaseholder and the lead management authority for the whole of the site when we eventually take that over some point into the future.
Mr. Sin, do you wish to follow up? I think the authority or the management of the authority needs to consider whether you do have the capacity and the resources to manage the site. Yes, it's good. A one-stop management contact point, so to speak. But then, as you know, the LCSD has been managing the site for so long. So I hope that the management will consider whether it has the capacity and the resources to manage the site. Of course, we hope that the authority can adopt a more relaxed approach in managing the site than the LCSD. But then the authority must plan in advance. You must not take action only when something happens, because when something really happens, you don't know whether you should get your own security people, or whether you should get the police, call the police in. So I just hope that you would consider this well in advance. Mr. Chung Shu Kan.
Sorry, just a quick question. We have done a major piece of risk management work under the audit committee of the West Kowloon Cultural Authority, which covers all of the aspects of running the site, running the activities on the site, responsibility for the site, and that's a key part of the preparatory work that was done before we took control of the site. That work had not previously been done, and we're now in a good position to recognise key risks, key responsibilities, and to make sure that we have the appropriate resources lined up to be able to deal with the issues that you've just outlined.
Well, Mr. Lynch, could you provide this committee with more information on the particular issues that you just mentioned with the paper for this subcommittee? Okay?
Happy to do so.
As soon as possible.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mr. Chung Shu Kan. Yes, Chairman. I'm also a bit worried. Now, this is a big site. This site is as big as a new town, and then you may have many people coming here, thousands of people if there are activities going on. And is it that under the temporary rules, you can bar certain people from entering? So, do you have the capacity to manage a site which is as big as a small town? What if do you have the security personnel? Do you have enough people, security people? Because what if there is an accident? What if there are lots of people there and people step on each other? So is it really a fit and proper arrangement? Does the authority have that capacity to manage the site? I'm concerned about security grounds and other grounds. And then the LCSD has a lot of experience in managing such sites. Previously it was the Urban Services Department, now it's the LCSD. So LCSD has the experience and the capacity. For Hong Kong Disneyland, Hong Kong Disneyland could even bar FEHD people from entering to carry out an inspection. So we are really a bit worried. Yes, the Bureau, please. Now, I believe members are concerned about safety and security and public order if there are major activities on the site. But I want to say that the authority has already started discussion with the police, with the district council on the upcoming major events and activities. For example, the risks. So the authority, of course, is very concerned, and so are we. So the authority has already started liaison and discussion with relevant government departments in preparation for these major public events and activities. I'm still worried. Yes, I understand that the authority has had discussion with many departments, but still we are worried. Yes, I do understand that the LCSD rules are really too strict. This is not allowed, that is not allowed. But then at least the LCSD has the experience, the capacity. But then I don't know whether the authority can really handle the situation. I'm not talking about a really big event, just a concert with 600 to 700 people. Maybe there will be an accident. Your security guards may not be able to handle the situation. Are those security guards very well trained? Are they very experienced? We are worried.
We are using the same security company and the same facilities management company that was used by LCSD. So if you have worries about us using those arrangements, then you have worries about LCSD. Clearly we have tried to set an appropriate handover from one management regime to a new management regime. We clearly recognise that public safety is the most important responsibility that we have to exercise in undertaking, events on the site, in the overall management of the site. But clearly we also have to accept that, West Kowloon is vested with responsibility for not only building the buildings on the site, running the program on the site, but with ultimate responsibility for that. We have been vested with money by this LegCo to be able to do that. We have the resources and the appropriate mechanisms for supporting our resources with the most appropriate resources of private security, private support, as well as the idea we have close arrangements with the police and all of the other sources within government to make sure that the events that we undertake, which go through a very rigorous risk management process before they take place, are then resourced in the most appropriate way. So I think...
Now, yes, they may still hire the security companies now hired by the LCSD. Now, my main concern is with the management. Now, the LCSD has so many years' experience in managing the site. And after all, we're talking about the entire government. I'm not talking about whether the security guards are the same as those hired by the LCSD. Now, if any problem occurs, you may step down, but then for the LCSD, it's different. The government cannot step down, so the government has to take the responsibility, and I think the LCSD has a wealth of experience in managing such sites. So as we are so worried, we really find it difficult to pass the order. But then Mr. Lynch has said that they are going to hire the same security company as the LCSD. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the management of the authority. Can we compare the authority with the entire government? Does its management have the capacity to manage such a big site? I want to have the bylaws. I want to have all the information. Now, I want to say that under the WKCDA Ordinance, the management power of the entire site has been vested with the authority. In fact, that's Section 5 of the Ordinance. Section 5 details the powers of the authority, and I think I can ask the clerk to give you a copy of Section 5. I also have the Ordinance here with me. I just want to put on record, Chairman, that I am extremely worried. Now, I prefer to adopt the suggestion put forward by Mr. Wu, and that is the LCSD contracts out the management to the authority. I can accept that. But under this present arrangement, LCSD can no longer enter or step in or interfere or intervene. So, in other words, the authority can is entirely independent of the government. So, is the authority experienced enough to manage the site? Now, of course, the public are concerned about as to how we can monitor the work and the performance of the authority.
Just clarify one point, that West Kowloon sits within the HAB in exactly the same situation that LCSD sits within. So our responsibilities, we clearly deal with LCSD on a daily basis, but we're not trying to run LCSD's venues and they're not trying to run our venues. And I think that was the appropriate way forward. I think it's also very important to just recognise a couple of points. The promenade on the West Kowloon site is much smaller than the 3 other sites that we've been managing on the site. We clearly have the major proportion of the site under our management, not under LCSD's management. And each event that we put on the site, in addition to the resources that we bring to it, they also have to provide security, police, traffic and ambulance arrangements. And from that point of view, that's the way that we would manage it. And in terms of your concerns about management of the site, I have managed many bigger sites than this site in terms of running interim arrangements, running interim events. And I think you should have some confidence that the way we are structuring the organisation is to be able to both deliver the events in an appropriate way, but also to be able to ensure that the public are well looked after, that we make it as accessible as we possibly can, and that we reassure the communities and the district councils and the LegCo that why we're doing this is to try and build support, enthusiasm and confidence in the notion of West Kowloon's going to be.
主席，我講埋呢度走㗎啦，我真係好短嘅，我有一個好。
Now, I'm going to leave very soon, but I want to say that I can still remember the experience between the Urban Council and the Hong Kong Stadium, and there was a court case which went all the way to the Privy Council. That was really a nightmare, and so I am really worried. So I just hope that the government will not be put in a very passive position. That's all. Now, but then concerning the management of the Hong Kong Stadium, that management company is a private company, but then the WKCDA is a statutory body. So I think that there is a difference here.
James To, Madam Chair, a few points here. Now, we are legislators, so I know full well what we are doing. And then before the 6th of July, we used to have a set of bylaws from the LCSD. It's the law, and if you break it, then you are against the law. The LCSD is the law enforcement agency. Even if the work has been outsourced, there is still this legal basis. In future, there will be a new set of bylaws. Again, they are the laws, and then there are penalties. If you break the law, then you are criminally liable. But what is not desirable is that tabled before us is not really the laws to be made by the WKCDA. It is simply the rules for usage being made by a tenant. Well, the most that they can do is to evict any visitor, any user on the site. Of course, if it is a case of murder, then of course you can call the police. You are not supposed to kill anybody anywhere. So other than that, if you breach the rules, you are at most being evicted. You will be sent out. That's it. Now, a question for the government. Why is it that after the 6th of July, why, in the absence of the government rules, why hasn't the WKCDA come up with a set of statutory bylaws? This is not difficult. If it is said that they didn't have time to do it, then I think you shouldn't rush. You shouldn't have rushed. Now, what we used to have is statutory. Now you have administrative arrangements in between, and then later on statutory bylaws again. I want to know why you have this arrangement. Now, currently we've only got administrative rules. How are they different from the previous ones under the LCSD, which is legal, which is statutory? Now, Mr. Lynch has said that our views are welcome concerning the administrative rules in place. Before I say I support or not, I'm willing to express my views concerning the rules. First of all, it says that the promenade is private land. I hope Mr. Lynch can understand. If you phrase the rule in this way, of course you're right legally because you are the tenant, you have the tenancy agreement to use this place. But then the community hates this sort of phrasing. Maybe you can say that it is land under the management of the WKCDA, but the public may enjoy it. Because the phrase private land doesn't please the ear. But of course you say that this is exactly the legal position. But I just advise you to consider rephrasing it. And then rule number 5, opening hours, 6 to 23 hours. Is it the same for the case under the LCSD? Are you closing the gates after 11 o'clock? And then pets. What about the LCSD arrangements? Were pets also allowed at that time? You also say that for Rule 19, it is said that if you breach the rules, you will be invited to leave. And then the manager may require any person who contravenes or who, in the reasonable opinion of the manager, is about to contravene. I don't know how to sort of come to this conclusion. Recently, we had a flag raising ceremony. We didn't even have something similar to this rule, but then a person was sent away because it was said that he was expected to contravene. So what is meant by about to contravene? It means that he hasn't contravened. So what is meant by about to contravene? Are you talking about a reasonable suspicion, reasonable doubt? Now, opinion can very well be subjective. For reasonable suspicion, I think it's more objective than reasonable opinion. Now, you may very well say that this is not part of the law. So they're administrative only, and then the interpretation will be administrative in nature, and that's exactly what worries me. I don't quite worry about manpower. You have a lot of resources. Now, a property management company can manage Taikoo Shing, which is a big housing development project. I don't worry about the WKCDA not being able to manage it. But my point is that why are you using administrative rules only? And then any breach of the rules would only result in eviction of the visitor. Now, you may say that you don't want statutory rules. You don't want freedom being jeopardized because statutory rules will be criminal in terms of the liability. But one day you will have the permanent rules, and again they will be statutory. So I just fail to understand. Well, before the admin or the WKCDA to give an answer, I would like to talk about the timetable. Now, the way I see it, it seems that some of you may object to the subsidiary legislation. So I think we need to understand that come Friday, we need to provide a verbal report to the House Committee. And then the deadline for giving notice of amendment will be next Wednesday, 31st of October. And then the 7th of November will be the day when we put the matter to the vote if we object to it. In other words, we don't have a lot of time to have more meetings. Maybe tomorrow afternoon, we don't have other meetings. And then on Friday, our hands are entirely full. We have the DBC, DR, HC, FC. Another consideration would be Monday. Well, Madam Chair, I just suggest this. If you don't ask for it to be shut down on our behalf, I will do so, so as to facilitate having a meeting again on Monday. So I think we must do something here. Yes, I think we must at least have one more meeting. For the points made today, I think the admin must come back with a paper, in particular about the legal vacuum. Yes, we need an answer. And then in future, the WKCDA will come up with its own bylaws. When will they be ready? And would you simply say that it's private land and so you manage it and it will be like that forever? Of course not, says Mr. To. So the authority must clarify this point. So members, let's pencil in 2 more meetings. First of all, would you be available tomorrow afternoon? No, we have a welfare services panel meeting. There's a public hearing. We can't make it. So on Monday, would you be fine on Monday? We have only got 6 members. I'm sure in a moment, 2 members, including me, would like to go to attend the meeting of the AJLS panel. In other words, we have to finish by 10 o'clock because that other meeting is very important. So I'm sorry, Mr. James To raised a point. So first of all, we need to decide on what is the way forward in the next 5 or 6 days. As the clerk to the subcommittee, can I supplement certain information in relation to your date of the next meeting? As you have said, Ms. Ho, you said that on the 26th of October, you're supposed to give a verbal report to the House Committee. For the written report itself, it can't be later than the 31st of October, which is Wednesday in the week. That is, you need to give a written report to the House Committee. This is because before the deadline for giving notice of amendment, you need to come up with a written report for members' reference. So if you have your next meeting on Monday, but then as the clerk to the committee, I need to write the report and we need to give time to colleagues to translate the report. What about Thursday afternoon or lunchtime or Friday or Saturday morning? Would that be better? If you can't have it, then please try to make it Monday morning. The Secretariat will do its best to tie in. Saturday, would it be fine? I apologize for suggesting Saturday. Eleanor, I want to know what's the point of having that meeting. If our consensus is to shoot it down right at this moment, then there is no need to go further. Let's not talk about our subjective wish, but then from what has transpired, I don't think, and judging from Mr. Lynch's replies, I don't think we can achieve anything in the light of the time frame mentioned by the clerk to the subcommittee. I think there is this vacuum on the 6th of July. The LCSD's public pressure grounds rules no longer applied to the site. This is different from the case of Sau-lan nunnery. That one is still under the public pressure ground regulation. Today, we can only count on Mr. Lynch to look out from his window. What worries us most is rule by men. Now, if we have a piece of legislation, we know that there is a legal basis. As Mr. James Toh has said, we want a set of by-rules to be succeeded by another set of bylaws. We can't afford to lose that in the interim. Section 37 is most important as far as the ordinance is concerned. It is said that bylaws may be made to manage the facilities, the arts and cultural activities, ancillary facilities, and also for the conduct of all persons within any premises, buildings, structures, facilities, or land, including public places which the authority holds or manages. I tried to ask, but I didn't get an answer. I want to know how long would it take for the WKCDA to make the bylaws, or would they rely on the administrative rules for a long period of time? If that is really the case, I would certainly have some strong views. So, since in any event we are not able to do this within the timetable mentioned by the clerk, so why don't we just withdraw what came into effect on the 6th of July, and we go back to the first case. That is, we still have the public pressure grounds regulations overseeing the site. But as Mr. Wu has suggested, the WKCDA will be vested with the management power, and then there won't be any legal vacuum. This is my initial view. I don't mind having meetings if there is a need to have meetings, but I don't know about the meaning of having the meetings and what it is for. Well, I think we are concerned about the legal vacuum. The WKCDA will come up with its own rules, but we are not sure about the legal basis. Now, I understand that in the interim, it will be regarded as private land with a STT, short-term tenancy. I think this is problematic because the WKCD should be a place open to the public for public use. But if in the interim, in the transitional period, if you regard it as private land, it will be difficult to hold the WKCDA accountable because the rules will be something which is administrative. I just hope that the administration and the authority understand our query about the legal basis. We don't want to straighten up the arrangements. We all want to liberalize it. But then the legal basis has posed a big question mark. I'll give the floor to Mr. Wu, and then I will ask the administration to give a brief reply.
At the Bureau? Yes, I want to explain why the authority has not come up with the bylaws. But then we are of the view that this is only a temporary situation. This is an interim arrangement. Now, the authority would very much want to open up the promenade to the public, but then works will start very soon. The construction works will start very soon. And so different parts of the promenade or different parts of the site will have to be closed to the public. And then as to when there will be bylaws, I can assure members that we will not rely on these temporary rules forever. Now, at the moment, design work is going on with regard to the park. But then I believe you did plan for the repeal on the 6th of July. Now, you may not find the reply acceptable, but please let her finish her reply. And members, now I hope the members will understand that there is a matter of urgency here. Now because the authority really needs this promenade area. There will be the nursery very soon because trees need to be planted, and also the activities. Now, when the activities were planned, there was a need to have certainty as to who would be the partners. There were contractual considerations, so there was the urgency at that time. But then we had the Gazette notice, and I hope that members will also understand that the design work is now going on concerning the park. Mr. Wu, I think Mr. Alan Leung has already voiced my concerns. Ms. Lee, I want to respond to the concern raised by Mr. Chong Shu Kan. Now, I want to say that when there are major events, when there are major activities, the LCSD works out administrative arrangements with the applicant. For example, before the activity, we learn from the applicant very clearly the scale of the activity, how many participants there will be, and then we will liaise with the police with regard to crowd control, public order. We look at fire safety considerations. We also ask the buildings department for advice with regard to the structures to be erected, and then we will relay department's requirements to the applicant. And then on the day of the activity, of course, we do communicate with the police. The police will send people there to exercise crowd control. So when there is a major event, we do try to make sure that there is order. And of course, we also mobilize our security contractors, our colleagues, to make sure that everything will run smoothly. And all these are not really directly related to the pleasure ground regulations. What I want to tell members is that with regard to major events and activities, we liaise very closely with the applicant, and in future, if there are major activities and events in West Kowloon, of course we'll continue to work with the authority, but still you can't address the members' concerns about the legal vacuum. Now, Ms. Tai, I want to ask you this question. Now, you represent the government. Has it ever occurred to you that is it that you haven't considered the fact that when you have a set of old rules and a set of new rules, there is no need to have there must not be a vacuum. So what is the government's policy? Is it that you have the bylaws, and then before there is another set of bylaws, you want to have something in between which are not bylaws? Is it your policy? Is it good? What are the advantages of having a legal vacuum? Bylaws, and then administrative rules, and then bylaws. Have you ever considered this matter? Have you ever considered this concept? Now, I think in July, there was like a Gazette notice. Did it ever occur to you that there must have been some another set of bylaws to replace the previous one? That you consult the DOJ? But then at that time, we felt that we wanted to come up with a set of bylaws which was well considered, and that set of bylaws would take time to prepare. Now, Ms. Tai, the bylaws can be amended. They can be amended. I'm talking about this process. Bylaws, and then administrative rules, and then bylaws. So why did you scrap the first set of bylaws in the first place when you didn't have another set of bylaws? to replace the previous set. So I think we need to have one set of bylaws replaced by replacing the existing one. Why is it that we now have these administrative arrangements, administrative rules? I really am puzzled. Now, perhaps you can explain it with a paper if you have good grounds, if you have good arguments. Now, Mr. Allen, I understand Miss Tai, she has good intentions, and I also believe that under the leadership of Mr. Lynch, the authority will consistently adopt the approach of making West Kowloon the West Kowloon for Hong Kong people. But then I think Mr. James To has made a valid point with regard to legal vacuum. Now, I understand, Ms. Tai, that there is Section 37. Section 37 covers a very big site, including the promenade. And then it is said that all bylaws made by the authority are subject to the approval of LegCo. I understand that you wanted to have a set of bylaws well considered, well thought out, but we can't accept the point about the legal vacuum. Now, to us LegCo members, we would suggest that as we do not have the new set of bylaws made under Section 37(2)(c), we are of the view that you should still be enforcing the pleasure ground, public pleasure ground rules. But of course, you can have some understanding with the West Kowloon Authority. So we want to have a proper legal framework. Do you understand? Because when something happens, we can at least hold the LCSD accountable. We can hold a government department accountable. Concerning Now, and of course, you have to tell the public that certain provisions under the public pleasure ground rules can be sort of waived because of these reasons. So we still want to have a set of statutory bylaws. We can't accept the fact that a set of statutory bylaws is replaced by a set of administrative rules. And you know, this set of administrative rules was given to us only upon request. And so those who carry out activities, those who go there, may not or will not be aware of the existence of this set of temporary administrative rules. Ms. Tai, I hope that you will understand that even though we repeal the notice on the 6th of July, there will not be very grave consequences. It is just that the LCSD and the West Kowloon Authority will have to have some discussion on what's going to happen in the interim before the authority comes up with a set of bylaws under Section 37. In other words, you can have a discussion with the authority on how you are going to delegate your powers to the authority. Now, members, I think members have more or less reached a consensus. They want to repeal the Gazette notice. They want to repeal the amendment order. So let's ask the clerk to prepare for us an oral report to the House Committee on the 26th. So the consensus of the subcommittee is to repeal the order. And then second, now we've raised a series of questions. We want the Policy Bureau to follow up. Now, previously, there were cases where the subcommittee decided to repeal the order but still continue to follow up on the issues. So we can have a meeting next Monday or next Tuesday. So we want to follow up. Now, Chairman, I would suggest this. You give notice to repeal the order, and then let's see whether they have got very cogent and convincing arguments to support having administrative rules replacing a set of statutory bylaws. Now, so it seems that we can only have a meeting either on Monday or on Tuesday next week. Can members make it? Can the clerk ask members to indicate? Let's try to fix a date here. Monday, 8:30 a.m. Monday, 10:45. What about 10:45? I have to attend a WKCDA meeting. Afternoon, Monday afternoon, members. Chairman, if we can have a quorum, I think we need at least 3 members, especially those who have strong views. Monday, Mr. Allen Leung, Monday morning. What time, please? Which time slot is convenient to you? I and Mr. James Toh will try to accommodate your schedule. Oh, thank you very much, Chairman. After 11:30. And I can make it in the afternoon, 2:30 to 4:30. All right, 2:30 to 4:30 on Monday. You mean the 29th, Chairman? Yes. But there will be a clash with the Welfare Services Panel. Are you internal meeting of the Welfare Services Panel? Maybe, but maybe everything will be passed on Friday. All right. So Monday afternoon, 2:30. But Mr. Wu, I have to meet some organizations at 2:30. What about 4:30? But Commerce and Industry Panel. What about 1 hour in the morning? 11:30? What about 11:30 to 1 p.m.? I have to go to the AJLS meeting. All right, Monday morning, 11:30 to 1 p.m. What about 11 a.m., Chairman? Monday morning, 11 a.m. All right, Monday morning, 11 a.m. till 12:45 p.m. All right, 11 to 12:45 on Monday. So Ms. Tai and Mr. Lynch, please address all the questions raised by members today. We want papers from you. Thank you very much. I hope that you will understand that we want rules on the use of the promenade to be liberalized, but then we are concerned about the process, due process. We don't want an undesirable precedent to be set. We now have a set of statutory bylaws that we do not want the place to become a private place managed by the authority. Right, thank you very much, Ms. Tai. Thank you, Mr. Lynch. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.